All right, here we are getting this shop open up. Start another day in the shop. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jimmy. If you're wondering what's going on, we're making it work. Fixing some cars, getting people back on the road. Sometimes we've been sneaking a little work on the project truck. Those videos are Sundays. 2 videos if I do them, usually Saturdays. A day in the shop is every weekday that I work. This is going to be a short week. My son's getting married, so I took a couple days off. Gonna have a nice long weekend. I'm kind of tired, man. I need a break anyway. So we're gonna take a nice long weekend, celebrate. We got to finish this Hyundai from yesterday. We're gonna do the map sensor, which is also the air temp sensor. It's setting air temp codes, and if you wiggle it, it runs bad. If you saw yesterday's video, I showed that on the data screen. So we're gonna do that this morning. A connector and a sensor. That should be quick and easy. We got a couple other things to do, I'm sure. Nice breezy this morning. It's only about 68 degrees and breezy. I'll put some clips in of what's going to go on today besides the weather, so you guys have a good idea what's going on. 2014 Honda Civic race car. Ford Focus QX60. So now that you know what's going on, I'm anxious to finish getting the shop open up and find out myself. I always like to learn a thing or two. I'll try to make sure we all have some fun. Let's get in there and do it. Stay tuned. All right, don't make me get the paddle out. It's about to get real up in here. Fire this thing up, finishing up on that Honda alignment from yesterday. I left it on the machine ready to go. The tire end nuts were frozen if you watch yesterday's video. So I have to free those things up. I soaked them a little bit. We'll see if we can finish it up. I hit it with a hammer a few times. That seems to help. Threadlock probably helped a little too. It's a little too positive. So, turn it back a little more. Let's see if that works. There you go. Meanie greenie. Alright. Nothing we can do about that caster. It's gonna be a little drifty to the right, so the camber is gonna be compensating most of that, so it should be all right. We gotta go toe in on the left front now. All that tire wear is from it being towed out so bad. Plus it's got some negative camber, but the toe is gonna be worse than the camber will be. The camber doesn't scrub as badly as toe does. So now we got to do this one. This one I helped him loosen a couple days ago when he first did this, so I think this one will turn. Yeah, we loosened it up. This is when I put my Malco vice grips on. I don't know if I filmed that, but that's better. Got everything as green as we can get it. 2014 Honda Civic race car. Check brake system. Check tire pressure. ABS lights on. Airbag lights on. Tire pressure warnings on. It's got aftermarket wheels and tires. So I am gonna let them know, a little reminder, all the lights are on. I think this thing's got like 165,000 miles on it or something like that. Love rating is gonna be 5. She's a little worse for wear, but fairly clean actually, even though the seats are beat up from age. So I'm gonna go drive this thing, make sure the wheel's straight, see what's next. I probably could do it without taking this out of my way, but why go through the trauma? Just take it out of the way. You got a lot more room to work in here. Now, I'm going to do this connector too because of the way I was wiggling it, and I'm able to make it actually stall. It might be just the connector, it might be just the sensor. I pulled the connector out and looked at it, and it looked good. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to disconnect this from the throttle body, and I'll be able to pull it out of here and have some room to work. I think I can. That thing is, it's a tight squeeze. Yeah. do this map sensor connector. Look at this thing, how nice it is. Right from the folks at AutoZone. Make sure it's accurate. It's missing something. It's the same but different. I wonder, let me take that map sensor out of there. It plugs into this one. Something's missing on this. Someone's been messing with it probably, and that's why it's acting up. See, the pins all look pretty decent. I think the problem's in the circuit board and the sensor itself. So when you jiggle it just a little bit, that's a song. It acts up, but this usually because of the circuit board. It could be the connector, although it looks good. So I got a 10mm bolt on this some gun. If I can get my tools and my lighting and all that stuff in there. This just pops out. It's got an O-ring in the plastic housing. Show you what it looks like up close. There it is down here. Usually you give it a little turn and it will pop out, but that O-ring can really grab on sometimes, and you'll need a pocket screwdriver. Especially if you have a camera on or something, you'll find it's a little harder. If you don't believe me, one day take your cell phone out and record what you're doing and see what happens. At the very least, you'll wonder if it got harder because of the camera. I tapped on the sensor, it didn't make a difference, but wiggling the connector did. So anyway, enough about that. Let's go ahead and pop the new one in so the manifold is not open. Then we'll work on that connector. I got all my electrical tools out here, so we're ready to go. I gotta orient this just right. All right, you get your little flexy butt over there. There you go. Once you threaten it, it listens. Now I'm gonna cut these to different lengths, and I gotta get some butt connectors. You guys know I don't like to solder if I can avoid it, unless it's for something I know is stationary, a harness that doesn't move at all and that kind of thing. The weatherproof butt connectors I just have better results with. So anyway, I think the wire colors even match. Kind of, not really. Blue and red instead of blue and orange, yellow instead of green, black and purple and black, but we'll be all right. Goes like this, actually. It's interesting how the cover part of it is missing. All right, enough about that. Let's do it. I cut my connector off in varying lengths. That kind of makes sense in the right order. And then I'm going to cut the new connector the same way, about a ½ inch in between. It's not very critical to get them exact, but the closer you get them, the less the wires will tend to want to do that kind of thing. You can measure them and make sure it's precise, but what I tend to do is pull the insulation off and then make sure they're more accurate. Should be pretty good right there, actually. The red one goes to black, which is kind of strange. Use my little tool aid deal, pull the insulation off. A lot easier than some of the manual strippers, but these aren't a necessity. It's one of those cafe tools. Just makes your life a little easier if you do a lot of electrical. Super handy dandy. The reason I cut this one the shortest is because when I was cutting this insulation back with a razor blade, I damaged that one wire. So that's how I decided to start from that side. Now, nice little twist. Just so they don't fight you going into the butt connector. A lot of people hate on butt connectors. I don't know why. I mean, the material crimps well, holds shape, and then when you heat shrink this, it melts to the insulation, so it's re-insulated. You're not dealing with shrink tubing and all. I just find they work really good, so I prefer to stick with them. But if soldering's working for you, there's nothing wrong with soldering. I think it can make the joint a little brittle, so you have to be careful of that. Like I said earlier, give them a little tug like that and they pull off, you know you didn't get it. You can even go in the front here, give that a little squeeze. See if you tug on it just a little bit, you know you got a good connection. And do all of these, and we'll come back. We'll be heat shrinking these together. It's not a... always got to give them a little tug, and like I said, if you watch my other videos, don't pull it off. Just see if it moves. Barely pull it. So you know you have to crimp it some more if it moves a little bit. That's one of the problems with butt connectors, I think, is they get a bad rap because people don't know how to use them, and they're not checking their work as they go. That's probably the biggest problem. But a lot of people can't solder either, so I know how to solder, and I actually have a very good soldering station, Ungar, I believe it is, and mostly because I got into RC cars and taught myself how to build my own battery packs and stuff. Back in the day when I first started, it was NiCad batteries, and I had a cell matcher. I think it was called the Turbo 30. Used to cycle cells and tell you what the numbers were so you could match them. Big overkill for a hobby. I always called it a career because that's what it really was. I'm going to make sure I've got my right wires in the right places. Twist these around. I'm gonna go really fast here. Let that cool off a minute. Now when I do this too, I don't hide the fact that there's butt connectors here. I don't want them to be too unsightly, but if there's potentially a problem with my repair down the road, I want to be able to say, oh look, there's butt connectors, let's look in there, you know. So I don't go out of my way to hide them, except I don't want it to be too obnoxious looking. And this is cloth harness tape, not electrical tape. Electrical tape's not really good for engine heat. Doesn't really like it. It melts and starts to slide around and get all cray-cray. I'm going to leave this butt connector showing there on purpose. So, that makes sense. I hope so. Now I'll pull off a little extra. I can wrap it on itself. It sticks to itself pretty well. Sometimes I also have to add a tie wrap. When I put my tape away, I always go like this too. Pull up the corner a little bit so you can find the end. Wrap this around a couple times here. Should stay pretty well. Now we get to test our work after we plug all these goodies back in. Alright, settle down now. Should have done that while the sensor was out, but I didn't realize it was going to be that much trouble. Alright. That is snapped on. I'm going to pop this on. We're going to fire it up. Alright, after a little handshake, we'll make sure the codes are cleared, fire it up, make sure they don't reset. We'll go up there and jiggle it like we did before, make sure that doesn't happen anymore, and we'll be good to go. Scan it. It takes a few seconds. When you push scan, it's almost like you don't think you did anything. It takes a few seconds to fire up, but that's the only real thing I can say about this tool is sometimes you got to be patient, wait a few seconds. It'll do it. And when you click on this, you pick one, it doesn't stay highlighted. Kind of strange. It's always done that too, but it works. You click it and then off you go, right? Let's go into the ECM. No need to go into all the modules again. Let's clear these DTCs. Let's go back, read fault codes again. I just like to do it again instead of just trusting it's going to test it again on its own. Now we'll fire it up. Make sure no faults set on startup. Boom, no trouble codes. We go out there and we'll do some wiggling. I know, back. It wants me to push back instead of letting me just exit. That's kind of strange too, but every tool has its own little quirks. Go out and jiggle some stuff. Without putting our fingers in the fans. Alright. Everything seems good. The only thing left to do, shut the hood, take a little drive on it. If everything is good, you won't see this car again for a little while. If it's not, we'll be working on it again. Not really kind of getting light on the work today because I'm off tomorrow and Friday. So see what happens. I might get a brake job or something like that. Keep hope alive, stay positive. Ford Focus 2013 vintage, I believe. There's no stickers. It doesn't have a vintage. Oh, there it is. 2013. The guys took a look at it already. It has transmission codes, and it wasn't something easy. So now I'm going to take a look at it and see if it's something that's easy for me. Well, oh, fancy steering wheel cover. 53,027 miles. That's about all you can hope for. Supposedly it's got internal fault codes or power wire circuit codes or something like that. But we're going to start from scratch and look on our own as if no one had told us anything except the transmission's not working right. Service now. Pretty cut and dry, huh? I don't think this is a manual automatic. I think it's an actual automatic. Could even be a CVT. Ford has some, I think. I'm not sure which cars have them. We'll figure it out. Let me get these two shaking hands. We'll come back and go over some codes. Probably have to look at service bulletins and recalls and stuff, which they might have already done that. I think they've been playing with it for a couple hours, and we'll play with it for a couple hours too. At least till we need glasses. That's not right. The little kids don't know what I'm talking about. The network has no access to server. Error code 6. Try to reconnect network or replace network. Then click OK to try again. Cancel. Cancel. Okay. System list. Smart scan. Maybe I clicked update by mistake. I don't know why I was doing that. That's kind of weird. All right, let me let this run and come back. Just kind of thinking about what the potential causes might be. We've got 3 ABS codes, 3 PCM codes, and 2 TCM codes. So I believe they already have a report up front. I'll go ahead and get my own report going. We'll take a look at these codes. As far as the love rating goes, I'm gonna say 5. No food, not a lot of trash. Just needs a little vacuuming and you can tidy this thing up in about 30 minutes. Oh, there's our codes. P0850, park neutral switch input circuit failure type 0. No status, not current. Invalid internal control module monitoring data from TCM. No status, pending. UO101, missing comm with TCM. Failure 0, no status, not current. Now, let's go into... Uh-oh. It defaults to that, too. That's kind of weird. We'll see if we got the same codes in the TCM itself or if it's setting codes for other modules. Control module processor failure 00, status type A8. P0884, transmission control module power input signal intermittent fault. No status, A8. Interesting. I'm going to record all these codes. Go take a look at some service bulletins. I think these are the codes we want to focus on the most. 606 and 884. The PCM codes are just related to the weird stuff it sees from the TCM. If the TCM is losing power, then obviously it's going to send erroneous or no signals to the other modules, and they're going to freak out and say, something's wrong with the TCM. Get that thing some Tylenol, you know, something like that. But all right, let's take a look and we'll come back and go over what I found looking at service bulletins and possible recalls. All right, I apologize about the annoying key chime. I don't have a lot of options right now. It won't start. And it says module not responding. There's 3 things you can do. Check the fuse, which is a 25 amp dealio in the fuse panel. This one right here, number 15 in the fuse panel. Make sure it's got a good connection. I don't see it burned open. The bottom line is these are terrible for TCMs being bad, and they're on national back order. I looked into it a little bit already. But to verify it, you get down to the TCM. This is a dual clutch transmission. You got to find the TCM, and there's 6 main pins. I'll show you the connector. And this is all basically going through the motions because there's almost 300 problems with them, and 300 were TCMs. So, but to prove it out, you get down to the connector. Well, your key chime won't stop, and you get positive at 1 and 2, and negative at 3, 4, 5, and 6. I wrote that down here in my notes. So if you have positive and negatives and it's still doing this, the TCM's bad. It does say to check the charging system, which I've already done. While it was running, I was looking at the voltage data just to make sure it was doing pretty good, but charging is 13.9, so it still won't start even after trying to and it acts like the battery's dead. You would think it was, right? But the windows are strong, everything works good. It's not that. So we can go from park to neutral, back to park. Nothing will work, because if the TCM doesn't let the PCM know that it's in park or neutral, it's not going to let it crank. And the TCM's not awake right now. It is not responding. Go down here again. Did it move it in the list because I went in it? Yep, it put it to the top because I was in that module. All right, we'll try to see if it'll communicate again. Seems to be communicating. So there it goes. It started. So it's gonna have a bad TCM. I'm gonna have to figure out exactly how to get to that connector. It looks like it's mounted somewhere on the transmission. I can't see it with all the plastic, so I'm gonna have to pull some stuff out of my way. I'll stick my voltmeter in a power and a main power and a main ground. Make sure there's still power and ground going to the module when it's doing this. And it's got new codes you might see too. What happens when the computer has an internal loss of power or ground, when it gets a connection again, it'll set random codes because all it sees is a voltage spike. Even though your battery voltage didn't change, it did as far as the TCM is concerned. So it behaves like it's seeing battery spikes and makes erroneous codes and stuff. So, and right now it'll go into gear and the car will go and all that. The problem is, you know, when you're driving it down the road and you shut it off somewhere, it won't restart because the TCM's not coming online. So I'm going to see how much time they want to spend digging into it and verifying down at the TCM. Obviously the problem happens pretty regularly, so we'll definitely be able to prove it out. And that's basically just another step in being 100% sure instead of 99. So we'll come back to this one if we're probing into that TCM to verify it 100%, because 99% probably not good enough sometimes. Ooh, that's fancy. Infinity and beyond. I don't even know what kind it is. I'm losing track of these things because I'm not a big SUV guy. QX60. That is fancy. Let me tell you what. That is fancy. 2018. Almost brand spanking new. 48,000 miles. We changed the oil on it. And we said, you know, your FEB light's on. Would you like us to look at that? Jimmy can do it. So, I'm going to put the... See if I can put these windows up. Alright, I'm going to get the scanner talking to this thing. 48,203 loving miles. And love rating is 7. I mean, I was going to say 6 because of the seat and all, and then I see the kid car seat. That's an extra point. Because it's hard to keep your car clean when you got kids. So we're going to take a look at this for her and see if we can figure it out. I'm guessing FEB malfunction. Something to do with collision warning, collision detection or something. I see it. I see a little Pikachu. So let me put this window up a little more, because I suddenly have an urge to play a lot of music and it's gonna get me in trouble. 2019, not 2018. The date's like 6 of 2018. Anywho, let me bring up some codes, see what's going on with this thing. We're gonna ping all the modules, because I'm guessing FEB malfunction could be some kind of forward braking thing or something like that. I don't know what module even looking. So if we ping them all, we'll get codes, right? I think we know where this is headed. ICC ADAS and laser radar. So that's some kind of the crash detection thing like I was thinking. So we'll get the codes, we'll send them a report. We'll take a look at some bulletins. The problem is, I'll show you up front, it looks like it's been in a collision, so I'm sure that light's been on since the accident. It looks like it wasn't. How would I put this delicately without someone being insulted? It was not professionally repaired, I don't think. So I'll show you in a second once we get these codes done. While the report's being sent, we'll take a look. Alright. Let's have us a little look here. Try to talk over the music a little bit. You see this? That's not a factory. That's not a factory thing. You can see this. I can see fisheye and dust in the paint. Not necessarily on the hood, but at least on the bumper. See, this doesn't fit the headlight right. This isn't in right. So this isn't right. So someone's put a salvage bumper or fixed the damaged bumper, repainted it and reinstalled it, that kind of thing. This one fits the headlight correctly. This one doesn't. So let's go over those codes now and take a look. And they all have to do with a frontal impact. So distance sensor off center, left radar, right radar, radar off center, radar block, power supply, blah blah blah. Most of these are past codes, so we're not too concerned with those. This one says current, so I've noted this code C1B82-00. The last two are specific to, you can have this code, you know, maybe 4, 5, 6 different ways, and the last two are going to tell you if it thinks of problems on the power side, the ground side, that kind of thing, a resistance failure, and it'll have a different letters in the sub code. I'm going to go ahead, clear these codes out, and see what ones come back, which I'm sure that one code is going to come back at least. Then I'm going to go up and look at my service bulletins and see what's up with this one. That is this guy right here. And that's the one I noted, I believe. Read fault code. C1B8200, distance sensor off center. So let's check into that, see what we got to do. Maybe there's a calibration thing we can do. It might be a part that was damaged in an accident and not repaired. All right, here we have, from Identifix, the procedure for this code. Basically, it says perform self-diagnosis, blah, blah, blah. Did you get this code? No. Refer to 2. Check if C1B82 is detected as current, which I showed you in the data that it's current, in self-diagnosis. Yes. Replace ADAS control unit. Refer to removal installation. That's pretty easy. So basically, I think this is something to do with cruise control, I guess. So if it's not happy about something, it can't center something, you replace the control unit, I guess, or the control module. I don't know if it was damaged in that accident, if it's an insurance thing, we'll see what happens with that. But we don't do ADAS calibration. So if you need to do calibration after replacing it, we would have to take it somewhere like the body shop we deal with. You do a bunch of alignments for them. They have a guy that does their ADAS stuff. We can do it. It's not really very hard, but you do need specialized equipment. You need a nice flat level floor. That you put sensors on the ground, so that you're basically reteaching. It's like teaching a toddler how to walk. You're teaching the car the same thing, and how to see the road and the lines in the road and all that kind of thing. So it's really important safety-wise that that's done correctly. These cars are pretty good about telling you whether it was done correctly or not, but you still have to go through the procedures by the letter and have the proper equipment and a location to do it. We just don't have that. So it's not that it's so hard, it's that you might need some unusual equipment. You definitely need a good level place to do it. So let's see what happens with this one. We'll come back to it if we're going to repair it, and we'll also keep you up to date if we figure out that it went somewhere else. I'll let you know. So the that Ford Focus, speaking of which, that Ford Focus I looked at a little earlier, they're going to get a TCM for it. And they said, well, you can check the wiring connectors and stuff while you're in there doing the TCM. I'm like, But I did tell them that 300 of the 300 were TCMs. So that's why we'll go in that direction, saving the customer diagnosis money. And if I find a bad connection, we're going to fix that. The TCM's only available from Dorman. No Ford parts. They're on back order. So we'll see what happens with that one too. Well, I came to an abrupt end. I went down there to the motor vehicle, tried to put the truck on the road today, and the insurance isn't effective till the 30th of the month. So they won't let me register and get a tag yet. So I'm going to have to go back and try it again. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Kind of short and sweet because I got a long weekend coming up with my son getting married and all. So I hope you got something from it though. And I hope you'll click the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And I hope I see you in the next video. I hope you have a great weekend. You're awesome.